Welcome to the Caves of Adullam, a place steeped in history and drama. Here in the rugged terrain of Yehuda, David finds temporary refuge from Shaul HaMelech's relentless pursuit. Strategically, this area offered safety with its maze of caves and its distance from Shaul's base in Benjamin. But as we'll see, this refuge was short-lived. Let's dive into the geographical journey of David in Shmuel Aleph Perek Chafbet and uncover its deeper significance. Adullam lies in the Shvela, the lowlands of Yehuda. While its isolation provided some security, word spread quickly. Family, friends, and even those disillusioned by Shaul's reign gathered here. David's growing group made his presence impossible to hide, and it was only a matter of time before Shaul learned of his location. David knew he couldn't stay here. He needed a new plan. His next move was quite bold. He traversed the breadth of Yehuda, crossing from west to east, from the Shvelah to the barren Judean desert, and eventually reaching Moab and Transjordan. This journey was no small feat. It took him across diverse terrains, rocky hills, arid deserts, and finally onto the plateau of Moab in Eivra Yarden Mizrahi. Why Moab? Let's explore. David's decision to go to Moab might have been influenced by two key factors. First, leaving Shaul's jurisdiction provided a layer of safety. If Shaul wanted to pursue him here, it would escalate into an international conflict. Second, David's family lineage offered a potential connection. His great-grandmother Ruth was a princess in Moab. Perhaps he hoped that this shared heritage might earn him and his followers some goodwill. But David's time in Moab didn't last long. God, the Navi, brought a divine message. Return to the land of Yehuda. Unlike Shaul, who often wavered in following prophetic guidance, David obeyed immediately. This was more than a shift in location. It was a profound statement about leadership and responsibility. There is, however, another element here that really brings the whole story together from a geographical perspective. This moment in David's journey mirrors a story from generations earlier. There was another person who moved his family from Beit Lechem Yehuda to Moab in order to escape the difficulties of the time. But in doing so, he abandoned his people when they needed him. Elimelech from Megillat Ruth. Elimelech left Beit Lechem in Yehuda during a famine and sought refuge in Moab, but his motives were very different. Elimelech wasn't being chased for his life. There was a famine in the land, so he picked up his wife and children and left for Moab. Wait, if there's a famine in Yehuda, there was definitely an even worse famine in Transjordan. The precipitation comes from the Mediterranean in the west. As such, the limited rainfall in this region predominantly falls over Israel before reaching Transjordan. Often during times of famine, even this sparse precipitation is reduced as the moist coastal air fails to penetrate eastward, pushed back by dry air currents traveling westward from the desert. This creates harsher conditions in Moab than in Yehuda, making it a less logical refuge during a drought. Why take your family in a time of famine and difficulty and move to an area with an even worse famine? Elimelech was a wealthy individual. He knew that if the famine of the time persisted, he would have to continue to share his wealth with all of his kinsmen who kept coming to ask for help. It was uncomfortable to turn them away, so he abandoned them and went to a land where he would not have to feel so guilty about being selfish and keeping up his own affluent standard of living without the bothersome requests for help that may have been a burden on his conscience. He forgot that everything he had was from Hashem and was given to him precisely so that he would be able to help his people. It may be fitting then that he went to Moab, one of the nations coming from Lot who had settled in Sodom, known for exactly this kind of behavior. What do we expect from the Shoftim period? A time, of course, with each worrying about themselves and their own issues. But we're past that now. The training ground for a righteous king must include learning to take personal risks in order to care for your people that you're charged with protecting. David HaMelech comes from this story. His return to Yehuda wasn't just a geographic journey, it was a tikkun, a rectification. Elimelech fled his responsibilities, but David stepped into his. Despite being hunted, David returned to support the very people Shaul was neglecting. This moment set the stage for David's future as a king who prioritized his people's needs above his own. David's return to Yehuda wasn't without risks. Yet leadership requires selflessness. Even when Yehuda's gratitude seemed uncertain, David's commitment didn't waver. This was a training ground for kingship, one where faith, courage, and responsibility were forged. David's journey from Adullam to Moab and back to Yehuda teaches us a timeless lesson. True leadership isn't about personal safety or comfort. It's about responsibility, even in the face of danger. As we stand here in the land where these events unfolded, we're reminded of the important qualities that the Torah expects from true leaders: faith, courage, and unwavering commitment both to Hashem and the people they serve.